Hey yo guys, I'm here to give you my predictions for tonight's March Badness pay-per-view. Like I said earlier, I don't know how well this pay-per-view will be received. I think the Live Gate personally will do pretty well just because, Roy Jones Jr. is on the show and it's in Pensacola, Florida where he's from, so he's going to have, a lot of friends and people to come support him to see his fight with Omar Sheika. As well, the big MMA fight is Bobby Lashley versus Jason Guida. However, I think, Square Ring Promotions, which is Roy Jones Jr. company, must be pissed. Like I believe I already said this, that, the fight they wanted would have actually been, one that had super intrigue and would have made, a lot of people want to actually sort of see what Bobby Lashley could do up against, Ken Shamrock. Unfortunately, didn't happen. So, they got Jason Guida, who's, a bit of a big disappointment. Really, although, this pay-per-view's on tonight, I have to say that, if you don't feel like watching it, there's plenty of stuff available free, on ESPN tonight, or ESPN Classic, I should say. There's the first ever heavyweight championship boxing fight ever on, any ESPN brand, with, Vitali Klitschko versus Juan Gomez. I will probably give my little thoughts on that as well in this video. And, on ESPN, I believe ESPN-U and ESPN2 or so, they're going to have the NCAA Collegiate Wrestling Finals. I mean, that's something pretty interesting for you to see, a potential superstar, a strong wrestler could make the transition, the guy that wins it could make the transition to MMA and, get a lot of hype behind him, so you could see, the starting of that. Plus, you have Ring of Honor making their television debut tonight on HDNet. And, of course, there's the NCAA March Madness tournament, which I have to say has been awesome so far. If you saw the games last night between Siena and Ohio State, as well as Florida State versus Wisconsin, all games with Siena and Ohio State going to double overtime. Awesome game there. Definitely the game of the tournament. Just some great stuff. I mean, that's what the Madness is all about. So, anyways, let's get to my predictions here. Just do some little quick ones. I've already made mention about, my thoughts on MMA versus boxing, and I think a lot of people have as well, so I don't really need to. I'll just go over the two fights. I'll go over, the other big MMA fight as well. We have Roy Jones Jr. first versus Omar Sheika. To me, this fight, it looks pretty interesting on paper, as, Sheika has never really been in a bad fight, and, Mr. Roy Jones Jr. is one of the most entertaining fighters ever to grace a boxing ring, so I think it could be pretty interesting. If Sheika, is able to get past Roy's defense, if Roy doesn't put up good enough defense, I think Sheika could put up the upset, but if Roy is, on his A game, or, maybe even his B-plus game, I think he'll be able to get by Sheika, with his typical, just toying with you and go for the UD, just, draw things out there. That's what he normally does. I mean, this isn't, like, his previous fights, when he gets angry at you and he likes to finish it, pretty early, when, like what he did with Montel Griffin. So, like when he destroyed him in the rematch, that's what I would say there. Really, then moving over to MMA, we have Bobby Lashley and Jason Guida. All I have to say is that the build to this fight, there's actually been, some trash talk between the two. Horrible stuff. I mean, it just seems so fake and scripted. I mean, with Guida talking about, that he was in pro wrestling and whatnot. Well, Guida, your trash talking seems so fake, and, Lashley still can't even talk. His comebacks are just so weak. He really wants to prove it in the ring. I mean, he could be super angry about Guida, and the fact that Bobby Lashley has been, that Lashley's been getting dissed by him and, trying to finish this early. I mean, he finished his first opponent, Joshua Franklin, via a cut. Not the greatest way he would make a debut into the scene of mixed martial arts, but still, to me, after looking at the weigh-in results, Lashley outweighs Guida by at least 20 pounds, so that doesn't seem well. And plus, Guida, his last appearance, for a lot of people on mainstream television was on the Ultimate Fighter Season 8, where, he didn't even get a fight. He got cut for not being able to make weight. He was a light heavyweight on the show, and he couldn't make weight for that, so I guess that shows that maybe heavyweight's proper for him. And also, if you remember him on the last, Pro Elite XC event, Show XC event, where, he lost his damn cool. He was pushing the referee and whatnot about, what happened in the fight, whatnot. I mean, the man's a lunatic. I think Bobby Lashley will finish him pretty quickly. I think he'll finish him in the first round for sure. I don't think Guida's going to be able to match, the stand-up, and, Lashley actually has a strong wrestling background. I don't think Guida's going to be able to do that well there. And I just think Lashley hits so hard, and, if he finishes him really strong, you wonder if Dana White and the UFC is going to take interest in him, so that's just my thoughts there. That they would love to put a Lashley-Lesnar fight, a match that pro wrestling fans have wanted to see, and you wonder if Dana would put just for, that curiosity's sake, and I think he probably would too. I mean, that would be major money, but still, other than that, we have one more MMA fight. It's Roy Big Country Nelson versus Jeff Monson. Really, to me, this fight, it's a battle between two guys, who have not the greatest physiques in the world, but and have some pretty strong stand-up. They're more about, getting the killer knockout, which I guess could leave some interest into some boxing fans. To me, I'm going to have to take Roy Big Country Nelson. He actually held his own up against Andre the Pitbull Arlovsky at the Elite XC Heat event, the one that eventually had the Kimbo Slice-Seth Petrozelli controversy. He held his own. Actually, to me, I think he won the first round before, Arlovsky's amazing hand speed and, power came into play. And he just wore out Country Nelson, who didn't have, greatest amount of cardio. He has some cardio, and he actually is a pretty good ground fighter, but that's why I'm taking him, because if it goes to the ground, which I seriously doubt it will, but if it does, I'm going to take, Roy Country Nelson over that. Also, the fact that Jeff Monson's a major idiot for spray painting a building of some sort that, a Senate building or whatnot, idiot, and getting it filmed by ESPN. Man's a moron, and, while he has, some, I think Nelson's just going to be too much for him. Anyways, that's just my quick thoughts here. I guess I can give you my quick thoughts on the Vitali Klitschko versus Juan Carlos Gomez. I think this is going to be another, it's going to be fun to see it on ESPN, as I'm actually really surprised ESPN was the one that could get this fight, considering HBO could have, or even Showtime, but they didn't. And my prediction's going to be Vitali Klitschko, probably 6th round. Yeah, Juan Carlos Gomez had, a strong amateur career, only one phase in the amateurs, and he's a pretty big prospect coming for them, but I just think, he's just going to be overmatched. I think Klitschko's going to keep the distance, and he's going to use his power to, just beat him down. Plus, I think it's in Germany. If you remember his last fight against Samuel Peter, Klitschko was also in Germany with that open scoring that may have something to do with it, where Peter quit. I think that's basically the same mentality that Klitschko's going to want to put on Juan Carlos Gomez. They're going to use he's going to use his jab. He's going to, keep his distance, and, the power's just going to break Carlos Gomez down. That's just my thoughts there. I mean, Carlos Gomez has, Juan Carlos Gomez has, something to, fight for, in the fact that, the Klitschko's management, used to be a part of Juan Carlos Gomez, and that had a whole debacle. So he has something to win there, but I really don't think that's going to happen. I think Klitschko's just why he's one of the #1 heavyweight in the world, him and his brother. So that's just my thoughts there. Anyways, that is it for me. I am out. Peace.